The wounded scout ship Vigilant Observer limped through the void, its hull breached and life support systems failing. Junior Officer Zexar hunched over the emergency command console, his 4 eyes rapidly shifting between damage reports, and the rear sensors still trained on the blue-green world rapidly receding behind them. "Impossible," he whispered, mandibles clicking with stress. "Completely impossible." His second-in-command, barely conscious from a head injury, gurgled something unintelligible from the deck. The rest of the bridge crew lay dead around them, their bodies contorted in the peculiar way hegemony physiology responded to sudden decompression. Zexar activated the ship's automated medical systems for his injured comrade, then returned to the sensor data. The primitive planet, designated only as SL3893C in their charts, had revealed capabilities that defied all preliminary intelligence. The hegemony scans had detected only rudimentary energy signatures, suggesting a species barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they had encountered weapons that bypassed their shields, as if they didn't exist. As the emergency FTL drive spooled up, Zexar compiled the battle footage. The hegemony needed to understand what they had encountered. The data painted a terrifying picture. Earth's orbital platforms had launched what appeared to be primitive missiles, until they phase-shifted moments before impact, passing through hegemony shields as if they were illusions. Their energy weapons operated on frequencies the hegemony had never encountered, bypassing defensive systems designed to counter threats from civilized species. Most disturbing of all was the complete absence of the ritual challenges that preceded warfare among all known species. The humans had simply attacked, without warning, without posturing, without giving the hegemony an opportunity to display their superior strength. The emergency FTL drive engaged, and the damaged scout ship lurched sickeningly into hyperspace. As the stars blurred around him, Zexar began composing his report to the Council. The humans would be categorized as a Class 1 extinction threat, only the third species to earn such designation in the hegemony's 10,000-year history. On Earth, Admiral Chen stood before the United Earth Security Council, the burned scars on her face illuminated by the holographic displays showing the destroyed alien vessels. "We have confirmation," she reported, her voice steady despite the weight of what had just occurred. "All enemy vessels neutralized except for a single scout ship, which we allowed to escape." Aloud, the Security Council chairman leaned forward. "Explain." "They need to know what awaits them if they return," Chen replied coldly. "And we need to know where they came from. The scout ship's FTL signature is being tracked by our deep space monitoring network." The chairman nodded slowly. The first strike protocol was designed for exactly this scenario. "Still, we've just engaged in the first interspecies combat in human history. There will be consequences." "There already are," Chen said, bringing up a new holographic display showing Earth's orbital defense grid expanding, automated factories converting asteroids into weapons platforms. "As of now, the solar system is under full military alert. All civilian deep space traffic is suspended, and I'm activating the sleeping dragons." A murmur ran through the council. The sleeping dragons, humanity's hidden fleet of advanced warships kept in reserve since the near-extinction war, had never been deployed. "They came to our home," Chen stated, her eyes hard as flint. "They came armed. Whatever they are, wherever they're from, they'll be back. And next time, we'll be waiting for them." Dr. Elias Okafor hadn't slept in 3 days. The xenolinguistics lab beneath Geneva hummed with activity as his team worked frantically to decode more of the captured hegemony communications. Dark circles rimmed his eyes as he swiped through holographic projections of alien syntax patterns. "It's not just a language barrier," he explained to Vice Admiral Kagawa, who stood rigid in her pristine uniform. "It's conceptual. Look at these neurological patterns we extracted from their communications." The hologram shifted to show branching neural pathways that pulsed with alien thought patterns. "Their brains process aggression and submission as fundamental states of being," Okafor continued. Where we see negotiation as finding middle ground, they see it as establishing dominance hierarchies. Kagawa's eyes narrowed. You're saying diplomacy is impossible. I'm saying our very existence violates their understanding of how species should behave. Okafor pulled up footage from the battle, showing Earth's first strike against the hegemony fleet. In their eyes, this wasn't just an attack, it was sacrilege. We denied them the chance to establish dominance. Which makes us what to them? Kagawa asked. Okafor's expression darkened. Aberrations, evolutionary mistakes that must be corrected. He brought up the decrypted transmission that had been intercepted from deeper in space, and they're bringing the equivalent of antibodies. The holographic display showed thousands of vessels converging from across the galaxy, the largest armada ever assembled in the hegemony's history. At their center was a massive vessel unlike any other, its design ancient and ominous. That's a planet killer, Kagawa whispered. The hegemony calls it the Purifier. Okafor confirmed. It's never been used in 10,000 years. It's ceremonial, a symbol of their ultimate authority. The fact they're activating it. The door to the lab slid open, and Admiral Chen entered. The room immediately fell silent as all eyes turned to her scared face. Doctor, your report on the hegemony psychology has been reviewed, she said without preamble. We're implementing your recommendations immediately. Okafor blinked in surprise. All of them, even the controversial ones. Chen's expression remained impassive, especially those. The Sleeping Dragon's fleet has been mobilized. Captain Singh's third fleet is being dispatched to the Kuiper Belt with your tactical package. She turned to a holographic display of the solar system, expanding it with a gesture. We're not fighting this war by hegemony rules. We're fighting it by human rules. And what rules are those? Kagawa asked quietly. Chen's eyes hardened. There are no rules in survival. Dr. Okafor's psychological analysis gives us an edge. The hegemony expects us to fight conventionally, to defend Earth directly. They cannot conceive of a species that would abandon defensive postures to strike from unexpected vectors. She expanded the tactical display, highlighting the outer planets. We're going to use their psychology against them. While they focus on reaching Earth, we'll bleed them dry in the outer system. Okafor's console pinged with a priority alert. His face paled as he read the incoming data. Admiral, we've detected FTL signatures at the edge of the Orc cloud. Advanced elements of the hegemony fleet have arrived. Chen nodded grimly. Right on schedule. She opened a secure channel to all Earth forces. All units, this is Admiral Chen. Operation Nightmare is now active. I say again, Operation Nightmare is active. Across the solar system, hidden human vessels slipped out of camouflaged positions and began moving silently toward their designated ambush points. The greatest trap in military history was about to be sprung against an enemy that couldn't conceive of being hunted rather than confronted. The Shadow Dancer's stealth systems strained to their limits as Captain Ramirez guided the vessel through the crowded hegemony shipyards, orbiting a gas giant the aliens called Morix Prime. The experimental metamaterial hull absorbed scanning beams, rendering them effectively invisible, but Ramirez knew they were pushing their luck with each passing moment. 30 seconds until memory banks are full, Lieutenant Kim whispered, monitoring the quantum-linked observation system. We've recorded everything from ship configurations to crew rotations. Ramirez nodded, her dark eyes never leaving the tactical display. What about the command codes? Successfully extracted, Kim confirmed, unable to hide his amazement. Their encryption is ceremonial at best. It's like they never expected anyone would try to hack their systems. A proximity alert flashed silently on Ramirez's console. A hegemony patrol craft was altering course, coming dangerously close to their position. She held her breath, trusting in the Shadow Dancer systems. The patrol passed within 50 meters, its sensors sweeping harmlessly across their hull. Time to go, Ramirez ordered once the danger had passed. Package the data for quantum transmission back to Earth. As Kim prepared the transmission, Ramirez studied the vast shipyards one last time. Thousands of hegemony vessels prepared for war, their crews performing elaborate pre-battle rituals on their outer hulls, rituals that seemed more theatrical than practical. They're not soldiers, she realized aloud. They're performers. Back on Earth, Dr. Okafor emerged from the neural synchronization chamber, his body convulsing violently as medical staff rushed to stabilize him. The experimental procedure had temporarily rewired his neural pathways to process information as a hegemony brain would, a desperate gamble to truly understand their enemy. Admiral Chen stood at his bedside in the medical bay, her scared face impassive as she waited for him to regain consciousness. When his eyes finally fluttered open, they were different somehow, seeing the world through an alien perspective. They live in a world of absolutes, Okafor gasped, his voice hoarse. Dominance or submission. No middle ground. Their entire evolutionary history, shaped by herd dynamics. Chen leaned closer. What does that mean for us tactically? They can't conceive of equals. Only predators and prey. Okafor struggled to articulate concepts that human language wasn't designed to express. When we struck first, we violated their fundamental understanding of reality. We're not just enemies to them now. We're monsters, Chen finished for him. Yes, Okafor whispered. And that's our advantage. They expect monsters to behave in certain ways, to be straightforward threats. They don't expect monsters to think, to adapt, to understand them better than they understand themselves. The neural link to the shadow dancer activated, and Captain Ramirez's intelligence flowed directly into the command center systems. Chen absorbed the tactical data through her neural implants, a grim smile forming on her face as the pieces fell into place. So they've never faced an enemy that could truly hurt them, she said, the tactical possibilities unfolding in her mind. They've forgotten what real fear feels like. She opened a channel to all Earth Defense Forces, her voice steady and cold. This is Admiral Chen. Deploy Operation Nightmare immediately. Priority targets are their command and control nodes. I want every hegemony ship to realize what happens when you corner a species that's been fighting itself since we discovered fire. Across the solar system, hundreds of stealth platforms activated, releasing swarms of autonomous hunter-killer drones programmed with intimate knowledge of hegemony weaknesses. The drones carried no identifying marks, no evidence of their human origin. Only weapons specifically designed to exploit vulnerabilities Captain Ramirez had discovered. The humans would not just fight the hegemony. They would haunt them. In the aftermath of the Kuiper Belt battle, Fleet Commander Xoleg's personal vessel limped toward the rendezvous point with the main hegemony armada. Its hull was scorched by weapons fire, life support systems operating at minimal capacity. Of the 1,000 ships he had led into the human solar system, fewer than 400 remained, most of them damaged beyond combat effectiveness. On the command deck, Xoleg stared at the tactical replay of the battle, mandibles clicking in agitation as he watched his perfect formation dissolve into chaos under the humans' unconventional attacks. It defies all military doctrine, he muttered to his second-in-command. They should have maintained defensive positions around their homeworld. Instead, they abandoned defense entirely to maximize offensive capability. Perhaps they don't value their world as we value ours, his subordinate suggested. Xoleg's skin shifted to a deep purple of contemplation. No, they'd value it too much to risk a direct engagement. They fight to win, not to demonstrate power. He gestured at the recording of a human vessel deliberately ramming one of his cruisers. They sacrifice without hesitation. No ceremonial displays, no honor challenges. Just efficient violence. As the crippled fleet approached the rendezvous coordinates, they were met not by the expected repair vessels, but by a delegation from the Hegemony High Command. Grand Admiral Zexar himself, the survivor of the first human encounter, now elevated to supreme military authority, waited aboard the command ship. Xoleg prepared himself for ritual disgrace as he transferred to Zexar's vessel. Instead, he found the Grand Admiral surrounded by tactical displays, showing the battle from multiple angles. You followed all established protocols, Zexar stated without preamble. Your formation was textbook. Your response to their ambush was as quick as our command structure allows. Zolag lowered his head. Yet I lost over 600 vessels. Yes, Zexar agreed, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a sign of intense calculation, because our textbooks are wrong. He expanded a holographic display, showing human attack patterns. They don't fight like a civilized species because they never had the luxury of civilization. Their planet's history is one of constant tribal warfare. They evolved fighting themselves. While we spent millennia perfecting ceremonial fleet maneuvers, they perfected killing. Around them, senior commanders watched in stunned silence as Zexar did the unthinkable. He reached up and removed his ceremonial rank insignia, the symbol of 10,000 years of hegemony military tradition. From this moment, we abandon tradition, he announced. We will learn to think like humans, or we will perish. Each ship will now operate with tactical autonomy. Formations are abolished. Individual initiative is not merely permitted, it is required. Several elder commanders made instinctive gestures of protest, their bodies unable to process such a fundamental violation of hierarchy. One elder admiral immediately surrendered his rank and requested chemical euthanasia rather than participate in such barbarity. Zexar ignored them, focusing instead on Zolag. You have seen the humans fight firsthand. You will oversee the implementation of our new doctrine. Zolag's skin paled. But the Supreme Council will adapt or doom us all, Zexar finished. The humans have forced us into an impossible choice, evolve or die. For the first time in our history, the hegemony must learn from an enemy before that enemy reaches our homeworlds. As the Emergency War Council continued, automated sensor drones detected unusual energy signatures at the edge of the system. Human stealth vessels, observing the hegemony fleet, gathering intelligence for their next ambush. As the Olive Branch departed the hegemony flagship, Commander Nyarere maintained a neutral expression despite the tension coursing through her body. Beside her, Dr. Okafor struggled to control his damaged nervous system, his right hand spasming uncontrollably. That went exactly as you predicted, she murmured once they were safely back aboard their vessel. Okafor nodded, his movements jerky. The War Minister was never going to accept our terms, but we've accomplished our real mission. Throughout their 3-day negotiation, specialized nanoprobes disguised as atmospheric particulates had infiltrated the hegemony flagship's ventilation system, mapping its internal structure and defensive capabilities. Simultaneously, quantum-entangled tags had been planted on key hegemony vessels by microscopic drones released during routine shuttle transfers. Transmission from Admiral Chen, the communications officer announced. She says one word, checkmate. Okafor allowed himself a grim smile. Get us out of here, Commander. We have approximately 43 minutes before they realize what's happened. As the Olive Branch accelerated away from the hegemony fleet, Grand Admiral Zexar studied the retreating human vessel with growing suspicion. The diplomatic gathering had yielded fascinating insights into human psychology. Their fractured history of tribal warfare explained much about their aberrant behavior. They genuinely believed we might accept their terms, Elder Diplomat Shiv observed, her ancient eyes following the human ship. Their concept of mutual withdrawal is curious. War Minister Crix made a dismissive gesture, a transparent delay tactic. Nothing more. Zexar wasn't so certain. Since his encounter with humans in the first battle, he had dedicated himself to understanding this species that had defied all hegemony expectations. Something about the diplomatic mission felt calculated. Run a full spectral analysis of all areas the humans visited, he ordered suddenly, and initiate a Level 1 security sweep of all vessels in the fleet. You suspect sabotage? Crix asked, mandibles clicking with indignation. They wouldn't dare. Their vessel was thoroughly scanned before docking. They were scanned using our standard protocols, Zexar countered. The same protocols their weapons bypassed in our first encounter. Before Crix could respond, A junior officer approached with alarming news. "Grand Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures throughout the fleet. Microscopic devices. Thousands of them." Zexar's skin paled to the color of emergency. "Purge all systems immediately. Prepare for." The order came too late. Throughout the hegemony fleet, quantum-entangled mines activated simultaneously. They didn't explode. Not yet. Instead, they embedded themselves within the hulls of key vessels, undetectable until the moment of detonation. In Earth's command center, Admiral Chen received confirmation that the tags were in place. She turned to her tactical team, her scarred face illuminated by holographic displays, showing the hegemony fleet's precise formation. "The diplomatic approach was rejected, as expected," she announced. "Initiate Phase 2 of Operation Nightmare. I want every hegemony commander to understand that humans don't just fight with weapons. We fight with our minds." Across the tactical room, officers relayed her orders to fleets hidden throughout the solar system. The trap was set. As the hegemony armada began its advance towards Saturn, they had no idea they were following a path meticulously designed by human strategists who had studied every aspect of hegemony tactical doctrine. Dr. Okeffer's insights were correct. Chen noted as she studied the hegemony's formation. They're adapting their tactics, but still thinking in terms of direct confrontation. She opened a secure channel to Captain Singh, whose forces waited hidden in Saturn's rings. "Captain, they're coming to you. Show them what it means to fight humans on our terms." Major Deshi Okoro checked his exo-armor systems one final time as the boarding pod accelerated toward the hegemony flagship. Around him, the 30 soldiers of Alpha Squad, the elite Soul Phantoms, prepared their weapons in silence. Each had volunteered for what Command had classified as a minimal survival probability mission. "Remember," Okoro said, his deep voice steady despite the pod's violent maneuvers, "their internal security is based on containment, not elimination. They've never faced a boarding action with intent to capture. Use that." Through the pod's tactical feed, he watched as Captain Singh's battle group emerged from Saturn's upper atmosphere, the experimental gravitic compensators shedding the gas giant's atmospheric particles like golden rain. The HMS Thermopylae led the assault, its advanced point defense systems clearing a path through the chaos of battle. 30 seconds to breach, the pod's AI announced. Hostile targeting systems attempting lock. Sergeant Rivera, Okoro's second-in-command, gestured to the tactical display. "They're adapting faster than intelligence predicted, sir. Look at those formation changes." Okoro nodded grimly. Grand Admiral Zexar was living up to his reputation as a quick learner. The hegemony fleet had abandoned their traditional ceremonial formations, adopting more flexible defensive patterns clearly inspired by human tactics. "Not fast enough," Okoro replied as quantum singularity mines detonated throughout the hegemony formation, the hidden weapons planted during the diplomatic mission now activated by Captain Singh's encrypted signal. The boarding pod slammed into the hegemony flagship's hull, magnetic clamps securing it as cutting lasers carved through the alien alloy. The moment the breach was complete, Okoro led his team into the pulsing corridors of the massive vessel. "Remember your xenobiology training," he reminded them as they encountered the first group of hegemony security personnel. "Central nervous system is distributed. Standard targeting is ineffective." The hegemony guards raise ceremonial energy weapons, beautiful, ornate devices designed more for intimidation than efficiency. The Soul Phantom's response was neither beautiful nor ceremonial. Targeted EMP bursts disabled the hegemony weapons before they could fire, while precision stun rounds targeted the aliens' distributed neural clusters. "They're not shooting to kill," one hegemony officer realized in shock as his comrades fell unconscious rather than dead. "Why aren't they shooting to kill?" Okoro didn't waste breath explaining that humans understood the value of capturing leadership intact. His team moved through the flagship with methodical precision, their armor's adaptive camouflage adjusting to match the vessel's internal patterns, making them nearly invisible until they struck. On the command deck, Grand Admiral Zexar received increasingly desperate reports as system after system fell to the human boarding parties. Initiate self-destruct protocols. He ordered his personal guard. The humans cannot be allowed to capture this vessel's data cores. The guard moved to comply, but froze mid-motion as a paralytic dart struck his neck, fired from a ventilation shaft overhead. Okoro dropped from the ceiling, his armor shifting from vent pattern to neutral as he removed his helmet. Grand Admiral Zexar, he announced formally, revealing his human face to the Hegemony command staff. In the name of the United Earth Government, I place you under arrest for war crimes against humanity. Around the flagship, the pattern repeated across dozens of key Hegemony vessels. The humans weren't trying to destroy the Hegemony fleet. They were systematically decapitating its command structure, capturing senior officers, and leaving leaderless ships adrift. As Zexar was secured for transport, he addressed Okoro with genuine curiosity rather than fear. Your tactics, they're not random chaos as our analysts claimed. There's purpose in every action. Okoro nodded once. That's the difference between us, Admiral. You fight to demonstrate power. We fight to win. Supreme Counselor Thax watched the holographic display in the Grand Council chamber with mounting dread. The human delegation had departed, leaving behind peace terms that defied all historical precedent. Around him, the council remained divided, many unable to process the concept of an enemy that offered mercy after victory. It must be a trick, War Minister Crix insisted, his ceremonial armor now seeming absurdly ornamental in light of recent events. The humans wished to lull us into complacency before delivering the killing blow. Elder Diplomat Shiv, her ancient form barely able to support itself, raised a trembling hand. If annihilation was their goal, Minister, they could have achieved it without negotiation. Their capture of the Purifier alone demonstrates their capability. The mention of the Purifier, the Hegemony's planet killer weapon, now in human hands, sent ripples of anxiety through the chamber. The ancient weapon had never been used in living memory, serving only as the ultimate symbol of Hegemony dominance. That humans had captured it intact, rather than destroying it, spoke volumes about their tactical thinking. Grand Admiral Zexar's recommendation carries significant weight, another counselor noted reluctantly. He has spent more time studying the humans than any of us. The holographic display shifted to show Zexar, still technically in human custody, but permitted to join the negotiations. His demeanor had changed subtly. The ceremonial stiffness of a Hegemony commander replaced by something more pragmatic, more human. Honorable Council, Zexar addressed them. I have reviewed the terms extensively. They are not designed to humiliate or subjugate us, but to establish sustainable peace. Most revealing is what they do not demand. They seek no reparations, no territory, no subjugation of our people. Thax's skin shifted to the pale yellow of uncertainty. They demand we abandon the foundation of our civilization, the integration of lesser species. They demand we abandon forced subjugation, Zexar corrected. They challenge not our place in the galaxy, but our methods of maintaining it. The debate raged for hours until Elder Diplomat Shiv, against protocol, activated a direct feed to the human delegation waiting aboard their vessel. Dr. Okafor's image appeared, his neural damage now visibly improved by Hegemony medical technology. Administrator Okafor, Shiv addressed him directly. I must understand something fundamental. Your species could demand our unconditional surrender. You could occupy our worlds. Why offer terms that preserve our autonomy? Okafor's reply was measured, his formerly trembling hands now steady. Elder Diplomat, history has taught humans a painful lesson. Victors who humiliate the defeated merely plant the seeds of future conflict. True peace cannot be built on subjugation. He paused, choosing his words carefully. The Hegemony has existed for 10 millennia. Humanity has no desire to destroy such a legacy, only to reform its most harmful aspects. We believe that dominance through cooperation is stronger than dominance through force. Silence fell across the council chamber as these words were translated and processed. It was War Minister Crix, surprisingly, who spoke first. 10,000 cycles of history tell us that the powerful subjugate the weak, he stated. Yet these humans, at the moment of victory, speak of cooperation rather than submission. Supreme Counselor Thax recognized the shifting mood of the council. With a gesture both alien and deeply familiar to the watching humans, he initiated the formal vote, a vote that would forever change the course of galactic history. The council will now decide, he announced. Accept the human terms and reform our ways, or reject them and face extinction with honor. The observation deck of Harmony Station caught the light of Earth's sun as it orbited the blue-green planet. Through its crystalline dome, Admiral Helena Chen studied the joint exercise taking place below. Human and hegemony vessels performing complex maneuvers together that would have been unimaginable 5 years earlier. Your pilots have mastered our lateral displacement technique, Grand Admiral Zexar noted, standing beside her. His translator implant now flawlessly conveyed the subtle inflections of respect in his voice, though they insist on adding their own improvisations. Chen's lips curved in a slight smile. The burn scars on her face have faded somewhat, though she had refused complete regenerative treatment. Some memories, she believed, should be carried visibly. Humans have never been good at following instructions to the letter, she replied. We prefer to adapt. A trait that saved your species, Zexar acknowledged, and ultimately reformed mine. Below them, a hegemony cruiser executed a perfect flanking maneuver alongside 3 smaller human vessels, a formation that combined hegemony precision with human tactical flexibility. What had begun as reluctant cooperation had evolved into genuine collaboration. Across the solar system, the changes were evident. Human quantum computing had advanced decades overnight with hegemony insights. Earth's defenses now incorporated technologies that would have taken centuries to develop independently. Meanwhile, the hegemony military had undergone a revolution in tactical thinking under human advisors, abandoning ceremonial warfare for practical effectiveness. In Geneva, Director Okafor of the Xenocultural Institute hosted representatives from 7 formerly subjugated species. His neural damage had been fully repaired through combined human hegemony medical techniques, leaving only occasional tremors as reminders of the war. The Treaty of Saturn established a new paradigm, he explained to the diverse gathering. For the first time in galactic history, integration without subjugation, cooperation without dominance hierarchies. A Trilexian delegate, their species having suffered under hegemony rule for millennia, raised a tentacle skeptically. The humans defeated the hegemony through superior violence. Yet speak of peace. We do not understand. Okafor smiled. Humanity's history is filled with wars that ended poorly because victors demanded total submission. We learned that lasting peace requires mutual respect. Meanwhile, Admiral Singh, commanding Earth's first deep space exploration vessel Endeavour, received her final briefing before departing for uncharted space beyond hegemony territories. Your mission is exploration, not expansion, the UEG Secretary General reminded her. We have encoded this directive into your mission parameters. Explore, understand, then make contact. Singh nodded, remembering the chaos of the Kuiper Belt battle 5 years earlier. Understanding before action. We've learned that lesson well. Throughout the reformed hegemony territories, military academies now taught the human hegemony war as their primary tactical study. Young officers analyzed every phase of the conflict, from the first strike to the Saturn ambush. In the prestigious Academy of Axlon Prime, a veteran commander addressed the graduating class. Remember this above all. The humans didn't win because they were stronger. They won because they understood us before we understood them. Their greatest weapon wasn't their technology or tactics, but their comprehension of psychology, both ours and their own. Across countless worlds, the phrase "first strike horror" entered everyday language, not as a reference to humanity's initial attack, but as shorthand for the dangers of cultural misunderstanding and the surprising effectiveness of a species that could think beyond established patterns. As Chen and Zexar watched the joint fleet exercises conclude, the Hegemony Admiral gestured toward Earth. "Your people were underestimated once. It will not happen again." Chen's expression remained measured, but there was pride in her voice as she replied, "That's the thing about humans, Admiral. We're at our best when someone tells us something is impossible."